would look like. So I'm scared. So hopefully you guys can be flexible with me on that. But I will be looking at some notes on my phone if you don't mind to help keep me on track as well. So one of the things with, so obviously today we're talking about mudra, and I loved the little Facebook caption that was like, put our hands together literally, because anytime anyone asks me what is mudra, it's often like hand yoga, finger yoga, haha, right? We can get some of those giggles out on it. But it's really great because when we get into kind of the definition, what today we'll go through is like the definition, some of the history of it, and I really want you to be able to experience mudra because that's ultimately what it's about. And so I do have a little oracle deck here that if you're willing, I'd love you to be able to pull one to kind of be able to work with as we go through things today. And then at the end, we'll kind of bring it all together too. But just so that way you have one that you can kind of connect with as we're talking about it, as that. And you may not know what it means, but at the end, I promise I'll give you an opportunity to fully know what it means. We'll kind of use more of our intuition at the beginning for that, if that's okay. So I'll go ahead and get that started going in each direction here. I was very excited because this gave me an excuse to buy this deck. So starting on this side and this deck is starting on this side. And feel free to take it by either looking at it if that feels comfortable to you, or if you'd rather just do a blind pull, whatever feels best. Just take your time with that and we'll kind of let that continue to go through.
All right, hold on.
Yes, once you pick a card, go ahead and hold on to that throughout the presentation, and then at the end we'll use it a little bit more as well. So once you get your card, and I know some of you it'll take you a minute to get one, but once you get there, just take a moment to look at it. Maybe notice like energetically how that feels. If you want to kind of play with making it, you can just to see how the fingers might how that feels when you do it. Does it feel weird? Does it feel natural? What kind of comes up for you on that? Again, you may or may not know what this one means, and that's okay. We'll get to that. But for now, just kind of noticing how that feels. And so, as you continue to go through that, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about just the definition, and then we'll get through to that. So, mudra literally means seal, gesture, mark, or attitude. And so a lot of times, again, with mudra, we think this is our hands or our fingers. Mudras can also be several different things. We can use our eyes for mudra. If you've ever seen different exercises that are like move your eyes all the way to the corner of your eye, for example, to the corners, that is a type of mudra that is also used. Your breath can be part of a mudra. Being able to hold the retention and suspension is usually part of the mudra, the holding part of that. Often, and one thing that I learned within my yoga training was that movement really prepares the body for breath. And so one of the things that we do whenever we're getting movement and we're doing downward dog or we're cat cow, whatever that is, we're moving our wrists, which in a moment we'll do a couple of wrist exercises just for, to get everything warmed up as we go through today as well. But being able to have that moves the flow and helps with that. And then creating those different seals or locks that we have then helps create that intention. And so that's really the point of mudra, is bringing in some intention to some of that. So does everybody have a card at this point? Okay, great. There is an exercise I'd like us to go ahead and do, another a mudra, and it's Pushpaputa. And so you're just going to bring your pinkies together, sides of the hands together, open like a book. You can have your hands pointing forward, or you can have a little more natural. It's really whatever feels most comfortable to you. Letting the shoulders relax a little bit, and the hands can either come about, down to the belly button if that feels good, or a little higher. Nice. And if it feels good, maybe close your eyes for a second, or just let your eyes kind of come a little bit in front. Let's just take a few breaths with this and notice how you feel. About your breath being nice and even. Again, take a little stock. Just notice how you feel energetically here. And then you can go ahead and just release that down. Notice how you feel. Did anything come up? I know that was pretty short, but how did that feel to anybody? Yes.
Very relaxed.
Relaxing. Okay. Beautiful. Very energized. Yeah. Depending on where you are, right? It can be where it takes you. Something that I really love about that one is part of the intention is openness. And if you're familiar in yogic philosophy, there is a yama or an ethical principle called aparigraha, which is about non-attachment. In some of my therapy training, I've been an idea that's come up is that you could say what you want someone to do instead of what you don't want them to do. And so I have taken that a little bit in my thoughts about how I think about the yamas and the niyamas. And so when I think about non-attachment, I think about that as openness to whatever is going to happen, right? And so this particular mudra, Pushpaputa, is just one of my favorites to start and end with on so many things because it is literally the mudra of that concept, right? Like here you can receive, but you can also give, right? You can also knock things out that you don't need or don't belong, right? And so anyways, I just find that one such a powerful mudra that you can literally use at any time. And it's something that, you know, if something is happening, I've used it in therapy practice and in my own work as well. Just like whenever something's happening, you're feeling really tight and you kind of feel like you need to control everything and really tighten up. This can just be such a nice thing to relax, but also maybe it's energizing you in the direction that you need to go as well, as opposed to, you know, keeping that all tightened inside. So anyways, that's my favorite mudra. Thank you for playing along with I did not intend to go on that little rant, but there it is. So, and again, as mentioned, I do have, and Suze was talking with me earlier, I have my fingers in a lot of things. So sometimes I just translate between the different worlds. So if I jump around too much, feel free to ask me to go back, but I feel like you guys are tracking with me, so we're good there. So back to mudra in general and what that is. So we talked about that being a seal. Like, so for example, this is a direction of energy, right? Like the seal is here with these. Now, nadis is a little bit more past what we'll go into today, but nadis are those energetic channels that go through. And so sometimes what we're doing is aligning some of those energetic channels together to be able to do the work that they're, you know, that the mudra is intended to do. So that is part of it. Let's see. And then there's also a lot of different ways to do that. Intention just has so much involved with it. And as we go through the different types of mudra, you'll also see just the different ways that intention and attention are, you know, able to be used within mudras. So mudras originated in the Vedic period, which was a long, long time ago. They came up in Kundalini, Hatha, and they came up in the Yoga Sutras, but more so, so in 1.2, it doesn't actually mention mudras or hand postures or anything like that, but it does talk about creating a connection with the internal state. And so from that, that is also part of mudra is again, that intention is to create some a connection with that internal state. And so mudra is that way. I don't know, there's a documentary I watched a long time ago that had this conception of the Mohawks, right? And how some of that during meditation, they could actually look through on a brain scan. And whenever they were in meditation, that was kind of helping align some of that, those energetic channels within that, right? And so that is something that mudra is also available to help create some of that. And I think there was another reason I started saying that, and then I got distracted in my brain, but I'm sure we'll come back to it. But that is a reason that mudra is available. And again, connecting to that internal state. So bringing that meditative piece and our connection to whatever, you know, that spirit is that we're working with. It also, from that, we've got the ancient kind of yogic traditions that it comes from, and it also has ritualistic from Hinduism and Buddhism, but it's, again, this intention, this energetic manipulation, which also then translated into dance and being able to tell them stories. And again, creating some of that intention. And sometimes when other things were not available to show what they were trying to say, they were able to utilize that through mudra and share those stories and and all of that. Now, I'm not an expert on that, so that is beyond a little bit of my what I can go into today. But I do, I have something I'm looking into, and I certainly encourage us to look at too. Um, and then there's also been a lot that just has been modernized. So again, none of these mudras or anything like this is actually new. None of this energetic properties, like we're talking about it today, if it's a new concept to you, it's definitely not new. It's been around for a long time. And it's just finding a way that it translates into how we can hear it to be able to utilize that, those practices. So, and then a lot of times, Anjali Mudra is prayer hands, right? So that's our palms together at the heart center. And a lot of times this is has religious components. And again, it's going through the different types of mudra. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. So we've got therapeutic mudras is one of the first types that we've got. And so that can be connecting to the elements, balancing doshas. Lauren and I have been working on a elemental projects this year. And so we've been doing a mudra each time. And so I'd like to share that with you guys as well, if you don't mind. So let's go ahead and actually just kind of warm up the hands a little bit. Maybe you want to shake them out a little bit gently. And then maybe we'll take a few wrist circles. And the other direction. Find a little stillness. Do these little blinky lights here. I don't know what else to call them. It's just what I thought. Exactly. This is it. Excellent. And then if it feels all right, bring the elbows together, hands together, more wrist circles here. Another direction. Good. Okay, great. Yeah. So see, now you've got something to do later tonight after you've been done working. All right, go ahead and release that. Maybe stretch out the wrist just a little bit gently. We're not trying to overstretch. Maybe up, side. Anything else that feels good? All right, maybe shake it out again if that feels good. All right. So you can let your left hand do whatever feels great. It can be palm down, face up, on the table. I almost said on the mat, on the table, on your leg, whatever feels right. And then we're going to take our right hand out. So something that as we've been teaching this series and going through this, your hand might tell you a lot of information about your body that you might not necessarily realize, depending on like how it bends and how flexible it feels and the different ways that, the different tendons and wrists. You can find a lot of information here. So don't be like, oh my gosh, I didn't get it all the way, because that's not the point. We're going with an intention, and it's not to try to force something. It's to bring an energetic thing. And we don't want to force an energetic piece that's not, not ready to be there, right? So for an elemental, it's kind of easy to walk through. We've got the jala, which is water. So that's just the tips of the pinky and the tips of the thumb touch. We don't necessarily want to press. We just want to lightly touch, again, like a little, just a little kiss there. And the other three fingers are as straight as possible. And then we'll go ahead, extend the pinky, bring the ring finger to touch just lightly at the top. So this one is earth. Thinking about the earth element with this. Then we've got another one with the ring finger where we take the thumb and we put it as close as we can to kind of the second phalange here. And this is the fire one. And so again, we're not pressing down necessarily, but just giving it a little bit of a touch. And then we've got ether, which is the middle finger, and these others extended to the best that they can be. And then we've got the air element or vayu, which is these three extended, and then these, the second phalange again on this point. Sorry, again. Ether is the middle finger with these, with the tip of the middle finger, yes. And then air is this one, with the second phalange or the second joint, whichever that is. Excellent. And so then you can kind of relax that, maybe notice how your right arm feels, or which if you did it with both, just notice how your hand or your, this forearm might feel. Again, if you notice that one wasn't a little necessarily imbalanced versus another, that can be something to take note of. Another thing, just while we're on the Ayurvedic, it's otherwise in my notes, but you guys don't see them, so you have no idea. It all makes sense, right? So, but going from that, from an Ayurvedic perspective, we got these different, the elements that we're trying to balance, and then also the different doshas, which we've got Pitta, which is kind of like your fiery elements. And I know Lauren can probably, and maybe others in this room can say more to that, but and then we've got the Kapha, which is your earth and water elements. And that's, your kind of constitution, personality, so to speak. And then we've got Vata, which is like your air and your ether, and working with that. And so whenever you notice that, like, so for example, my air doesn't necessarily work the way that it might. And so that does actually tell me, and I mean, I know that my air is a little out of balance. So that's just one way you can kind of work with it, therapeutically, but also just within yourself to kind of notice these different things that it's trying to connect. Yes.
So like this one, wouldn't go down, but then I get to the other side of it. What is that?
So that one was fire, and then this one was earth. Earth. And
but so like we're doing, like this finger won't go down. Doing the other ones. Does that mean it's out of balance?
It could be. It could also be a physical, thing within your arm. Yeah, it could be. For me, because I know when I'm doing certain things and I can notice that air is not necessarily in balance, because I also have a tightness in my chest because I have been holding my breath a lot and tightening. And so that is just something energetically that I can deduce for myself, because I know that. But for you, it could be something, and it could be something physical as well.
I've got like body hair in my side, like a lot. So grounding.
So that hey, it's good to have your grounding friends. Absolutely, absolutely. I love it. So speaking of that, yes. So balancing, we've got the different elements that we can use with that. Another way, thinking of, again, just from the hands, and this is again very basic. There's so many different mudras, and I'm certainly not going to sit here and just like blast you with a glossary of them. But these again are just some that I find very useful and practical with ways that we work each day. So if you've got all of your fingers, they're all part of the elements and all working in this force, right? And kind of coming up through the wrist and having this energetic ball here. We've got samana or samana, however you want to pronounce it, I'm not sure, but it's this concept of balance, right, between the elements and between, everything. And so coming in with this is a great one to do after you eat for digestion, but it's also great if you're just feeling very out of balance with all your elements. It's kind of a tri-doshic balancer. If that makes sense. So this particular one can be really useful for that too. And so back to my notes, I got on a, so with therapeutic mudras, like the ones that we were just doing with connecting to elements, balancing doshas, we're working on stress reduction and calming the nervous system ultimately. And again, when we're talking about energetics and working with that, a lot of times we're talking about the nervous system, even if we're not calling it that. So at least in my experience. And so, or at least, our experience of the nervous system. So using these different mudras can be helpful. So again, balancing with that, those are just some kind of takeaway ones that can be useful on that. Now for dance, again, I'm not an expert on that, so I didn't want to necessarily go super into it, but I did want to at least bring it up. So it's all about like this expressive storytelling through the hand gestures, as mentioned, like whenever there were other ways that they couldn't express some of these different ideas, they were able to do that. There's one thing that I really love, and I'm hoping you can all be open to this experience, this next one that I'm going to give. But it's called the Tattva mudra, and it is the mudra of truth. And I'm not joking, it's in the book. I'll show it to you, but it's this. And I'm just saying, I think we can all work with that. Exactly. I think there's got to be a way we can all identify with that one somehow. So, but it's all. Yeah, yeah. So there's your party fact for the week. But conveying emotions, right? Being able to give some of that characters and narratives. Again, I think we all have an association with that particular one. And when I think about truth and connecting with that, like are we wrong? Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody.
In that particular case, I don't know that there is a difference. I think that that I'm aware of. Yeah, I don't know that there's a reason, and there may be. Maybe we'll discover that as we go through them in a little bit. But so far, I haven't noticed a reason. But I do, good catch, just in case. So that would be good to know. Let's see. Okay, so we talked about how mudras are connecting to the internal state, so somatic awareness and embodiment. Another reason why they're really great with therapy, therapeutic practices. You see them in a lot of meditative practices in different ways as well. And during postures within yoga, oftentimes they are also talked about as mudras and can be. And I think here in a little bit, I've got a note on the Maha Mudra, which is the great mudra, and it's a pose. And I don't know, somebody has to feel it. It's not me, but I'm sure it's in there somewhere. But I guess it can be very powerful. But we'll kind of look a little bit at that as well. But a hand is such a great way. Oftentimes, if we're talking about someone who is not able to necessarily move their full body for different reasons, right? And different things, like a hand is still that way to have that energetics. You're still moving the body, you're still moving the nadis, you're still doing all of that. Like that intention is still there. And that's really the point of doing it, right? Like not to get, fit. Nadi, yes. So nadi is would be translated to like channel. And so an energetic channel. And so another thing, I'll skip a little bit too, is mudra can be used for breath to be able to channel the breath. And so nadi shodhana, which is alternate nostril breathing, is nadi is those different channels of locking that. And so there's a couple of different versions of that, but ultimately it's you take your hand and you either do 3 fingers or you do 2, just depending on what's most comfortable for you. And you just come up right to kind of the top of the nose where you can close it off a little bit. And just on the right with the thumb, and you inhale. And then you close with either the pinky or the ring finger on the other side, and then exhale on the other side. And then you can continue that breath in that direction or come back up on that side, close off, and come to the other side. And one of the great things about alternate nostril breathing from multiple different perspectives is it's a bilateral stimulation. And so if, for example, walking, hiking, paddling, rowing, other different, tapping, different things like that are not necessarily available to you, being able to breathe and use that alternate nostril breathing can help stimulate both sides of the brain, which can help if it's in a stress response state to be able to kind of bring it down and balance it out a little bit. So I have done that in the middle of like a theme park and no one really notices or is concerned, and I felt a lot calmer. So, but another great way that mudra can be used in that seal helps bring that intention, which, if you're feeling very out of sorts and out of that, being able to channel that breath alternately, but then just in general is helping just narrow that focus, right? And help you be able to balance that energy. Let's see. We talked about Anjali Mudra already as far as religion and ritualistic ways that mudra is used. Again, not necessarily my specific forte. I'm more in like the therapeutic type of realm, but it is definitely one, and I think we've all seen this one somewhere, right? So, but Anjali Mudra is what that one is called as well. And then for breath, we just did that. So great. Okay, so I am going to show you the one that is the yoga posture. That is the great mudra. And I'm not going to get on the table and do it. That would horrible, I think. Right. But what we do is we kind of get into this little weird kind of tree position here. And then we've got this and we seal this, and I'm not very well up. So we straighten out the back a little bit. And we straighten out, and this is considered the great seal. So I don't know if you see it, you feel it, but it's called the break. Seal, and then like the lock. And so this is supposed to be like the epitome of mudras, if we're talking about from a posture perspective.
Like a yoga pose too.
Yes, it is, absolutely.
Like a yoga pose, is it?
It's called the Maha Mudra, or well, it's called Maha's the beginning of the name of the pose as well. And so so great seal, great pose. Oh, great. Okay, excellent. We're excellent.
So is the bit.
The bit knee is for me because my hamstrings are very tight. Yeah. Yeah. That is a modification that I do. Yes. There is that.
What's the intention behind that pose?
That particular pose again is to be a lock in this position. So when you've got that the straight back and the lock in the arms and the lock with the legs, it's supposed to be like the ultimate like locked position. And so for example, in Ashtanga yoga, they'll do the hands underneath the feet and that position to lock in that way as well. And it's just to kind of like lock the body from this position to fit held in that way. And so, and it depends on also what other kinds of locks you're wanting to use. So if we're thinking about the breath, there's a lot of bandhas, which are also kind of like more in the body locks, right? And again, a little bit, I guess, an intro into that is we've got the Mula Bandha, which is like if you've thought about Kegels, right? Like if you're doing that, that is a Mula Bandha. Or if you've like, stopped your urine while you're peeing, right? That would be one as well. And so whenever you're in a position, being able to access that lock is kind of like the point of it. And that would be one for the because it is a very root-based chakra position as well. So, and just I'll skip up to the top thinking about just the breath and the spine and the chakra mudra versions that there are, and the locks that they have is there's also the breath. If you've heard of Ujjayi breath or the Darth Vader breath, is what it sounds like at least, but it is also a way to intentionalize that breath and create that so it can sound like an ocean or a seashore, but you're just creating like a little constriction in the back of the throat. And so it's like a kind of like if you were fogging up a mirror, but with your mouth closed. Yeah. So so if you everyone's trying it, let's just go ahead and do it. So let's go ahead. You can just take your hand in front of you if that feels okay, and take a big deep breath in through your nose, and then when you exhale, just like you're gonna fog up a mirror, just make sure you can feel that. Okay. So you can do that a few more times if you just need to get used to that. And then the next thing you need, what you'll do is close the mouth, but do the same thing with the inside of your throat. So
Oh my God.
do you feel that?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it feel different to you, that breath? Does it change anything energetically? Yes.
I've been to Darth Vader, just like that.
Exactly.
Like it works, it's different.
Well, breath, prana is the life force. And so when we're directing that, absolutely, we're getting a little kind of a shock, a little jolt into that. So yeah, you can let your breath be normal. You don't necessarily need to do that too long, but that is a way to create some heat. And again, because of that lock, that constriction is helping keep that within the body. So oftentimes you would do Ujjayi, like, if honestly, if you're really cold and you're walking through, like that is a great breath to do because it is just a natural way to build some heat as well. So
When you say that loss, like you said, it lost which lower chakras with that. And this
yes.
loss, what do you mean? Like, does it hold your energy there?
Correct. Yes. It's and the way that they would describe it is more that it's kind of holding your energy, your breath through your breath, essentially, right? Is these locks are to keep the breath or the life force, the energy to be able to continue to flow in the channels within the body. Would be the way to describe it. Hopefully it makes sense, but like that a thing at rest stays at rest until it's acted upon, right? Like that is something that is also true for the breath. and our energy, right? And so if we think about like when we are feeling very depressed, our breath often is not very quick. It is not very, it's taking its time. It's really slow. That can be fine, but we need to be able to kind of pick it up a little bit, but something has to act on it to be able to do that. And if nothing does, we have to be able to kind of like put a lock on it so it hits it, right? And then comes back. I don't know if the ping pong example makes the most sense, but that's how I think about it in my head. I'm tracking. Okay. Let's see. All right. Okay. Any other questions before we move on to our cards? No. All right.
Your favorite pose, I can't remember the name.
Push, 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 push. That one?
The fact that you said that it's both giving and receiving.
Yes.
In other words, the heart, and if you're familiar with the energy meridian, it's the heart meridian, but it's along the side of the. Yeah, almost like there are.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. I love that.
The same with their nose.
Mm-hmm.
It's the favorite you're doing,
Yeah.
the thumb is the lungs and the iron finger is the. That's the thing.
Okay.
So you need your breath. You're in that fight or flight mode and fight or flight can also make you evacuate.
Right. Also true. Exactly. Thank you, because thank you, because I feel like that's why we do it, right? Is to be able to create those connections and have that continue to flow, is to be able to use these things. Because if we don't foster the connection, it doesn't stay connected. So there's that. So let's see. So take a look at your card and your mudra. Again, we've done a couple of things today already. So again, just take a moment, look at it. Maybe you want to try to do it. Again, take note maybe of what this card, how it feels, like what kind of emotion does this mudra seem to feel like it comes from? Like who is making this mudra? What is the purpose? And it's okay if it's not exact. We're just using some intuition here. And once you feel like you've got that, we are going to hold it for a few moments. And we'll use a little bit of breath, and we'll do a little bit of a Laka mudra with the breath as we do this as well. So we'll just do a little tiny hold at the top and a little tiny hold at the bottom. Nothing too big, nothing too exciting. Just as we breathe in, you'll have an intentional kind of cut off to your inhale, and then at the bottom, an intentional cut off to your exhale that we'll hold for a second. So once you're ready, maybe you've got the position, beautiful. Maybe you close your eyes or look a little bit in front of you. Think about your shoulders relaxing. Nice. You've got your mudra up. And we'll start big, deep inhale through the nose, sending the air down into the belly. And exhale, you can either do through the nose or the mouth, whichever feels best. I'll go in through the nose. Hold briefly at the top. And then exhale. Hold briefly at the bottom and inhale. Hold at the top and then exhale. Hold, we'll do 2 more rounds. Inhale. Hold there, exhale. Hold there, inhale. Hold and exhale. Let your breath return to normal. Maybe take a second your neck a little bit. Maybe you keep your eyes closed or just blink them open a little bit. Maybe take a few wrist circles, anything that feels good with the hands. And just take a second to notice how you feel. And with that, does anybody have anything to share about their experience with that? It's okay if not. Yeah, please.
Trying the mudra,
Okay.
just like this. It made me feel kind of like a wide angle lens adjusting. The focal point comes more in focus, but the periphery of your experience expands.
I like that a lot.
Their experiences, she take I 9 months this and it was like there was a very clear center focus, but it was all also expansive. So I had this turning. But then there was also this openness and energy through these other expand thinkers.
Thank you.
I was, you know, like it is in my show. It was
So I'm working on my Sanskrit and so I love that you just went for that because yes, absolutely. What was it?
SAHASRARA.
Ah, yes. Right. Absolutely. It is. And so that one is a lot about, it talks about the mudra it has on the guidebook here. It says about be here now. And again, connection and being in the moment. And like you said, being able to zoom in and out at the same time certainly can be a beautiful way. And like, you know, and that's the thing, it's like that has been there this whole time, right? Like this has been there for thousands, thousands of years. And we're like, oh my gosh, that's so great. Or I am anyway, because it is, right? And we're like, but anyway, we are where we are now, right? So there is that. Yeah, anybody else?
When I saw clouds, but they're really clouds, like they were and I feel the state of now, to be able to do it. That's how the magic goes right now.
I was gonna say I thought I reckon the Kundalini. Yes, and Kundalini is some. If you've ever been to a Kundalini class or a familiarity with Kundalini, it is an energy. It is absolutely. All right, wonderful.
I don't know that I got a lot. Other than just, it was kind of like sensory, kind of like I got a little activity in my third eye. And I saw this just got Saturn. The rings. And I'm like, I don't know.
That one is about manifestation.
Okay.
So that's why when you said that's so, see, and that's what like intuitively you can get the right, exactly.
Just so like a one.
Yes. Yeah.
So everybody can have an idea. Is
Yep.
that okay?
There actually is one.
This is the thought.
Yeah. There is actually like a like kind of one sentence in the context or in the content. So like literally you can either look through or if we just want to go through and say them, I can say what they are, whatever feels best and makes sense.
Mine was the prana, mudra,
Mhm.
health energy, but then after the week, so I think that's also a little time. So,
Mhm.
what am I, what should I buy these things? So when you do the prana mudra, these things.
So with the prana mudra, well, with any mudra, I would say there isn't necessarily a way that you should experience it. It's going to be a way, however you do experience it. Sorry, I have to answer it that way, but but it is all about like that one is about breath, prana, and flow, and being able to have that in. Can you show it to me one more time again? Yeah. So with that, right, it's got these two fingers. Am I correct? Right. And so we're balancing our water and our earth, and then kind of keeping these here straight. And so with that, we're grounding to an extent, so that way you can flow also as part of that. And so that's kind of the energetic pieces of that, and to an extent. And so again, it could also be, maybe you weren't able to drop in quite enough, or something like. There's also possibilities of that, right? And then sometimes it's hard, like in a few minutes. Right. 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 And that's why no, it's everybody's hands are different, but yeah, so that would be but yeah, each experience that you have with a mudra could be different as well, right? So but that's kind of like the energetics of what it's going for that one.
Here, we go around the room and everybody say what they have and then you show us what they are. The greatest.
We can all show each other together. I will all practice them. I do like that. Because again, my fingers are not necessarily as, again, I've got a couple of things too. So mine may not necessarily look the exact way, similar to how my Mahamudra, my knee was bent, whereas somewhere else it might have been more extended, right? But we can do that, yes. But we can all do it.
I was wondering, I had the mudra, and it looked like the little fingers and the thumbs are together, but I didn't, I could see light through there, so it looked like you had to keep your, so is that right?
Yes.
Just
Yes. It's just holding kind of like the tips there. Yeah, kind of with the sides of the finger there, like you have.
There are butterflies coming out.
Exactly. It's a lot of butterfly energy. And so like on here, it talks about butterfly alchemy, but if you think about that too, like, I actually use butterfly analogy a lot in this one as well. Because you don't want to crush a butterfly. And I would think the same thing here, right? Like here, if you have it closed off, there's less, place that butterfly can go, and a butterfly is meant to leave, right? Not necessarily meant to stay forever. And so giving it that little bit of space in these, this little direction there gives it the opportunity to go anywhere that it needs to go, if I can't quite figure it.
So my intuition is kind of saying, instead of alchemy, this
Yeah.
could be kind of like the
Yeah.
as it changes,
Also true.
an openness to leaving.
Well, like she was saying, it allowed it to go anywhere.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you, Ari, that's too.
Yeah, that was really good.
I was like this, but I didn't realize at first that I had the. This sure have the same thing. And I was like, person, movies or something at the time.
So that one is about the divine feminine and kind of moon energy, which is why, which is typically associated with feminine, which is why it has that. Okay. Yeah. And the moon is very like it's a very calm, nurturing energy. Great. All right.
He's passing.
Okay.
Mine is called predictive.
Uh-huh.
And
like this,
Mhm.
and it has a waterfall behind.
Mhm.
And I was just having trouble keeping my three fingers down. See that? You see my, I don't know why, that little finger just kept going up.
The truth is coming out.
I was a little distracted by it.
Nope, that's fair. Go ahead, Wilbur.
What I was gonna ask is, she was doing one with the fingers keep together, and you said to touch lightly, but I did a little free yoga.
Uh-huh.
You put a little pressure. Is there a difference between bottom?
So some of the different when you're doing a kriyas is you are also using not just the hand but the body. So it does require a little bit more of a pressure to keep that. And I know this is one, so that's why in my head that's what I'm going towards. But yes, that's why it is a little bit more pressure. So one of the things, again, in therapeutic mudra specifically, is sometimes too much pressure then is like overdoing it. So if you do this, then you're like pressing in here, then you are now overloading your water element is how they, yes, again. So from the therapeutic side, that's why they have it that way.
I wonder about holding it in the air versus if I'm putting it on the table. What's the difference there?
Some of it's more just your comfort level, and if you're able to relax, and because a lot of it is too, you want your shoulders to relax, right? And so whatever's most comfortable. Oftentimes you would be seated and also have it, at like the top of the thigh or on your knees. Typically would also be a way that would experience that.
Or is it part of that's
Not necessarily all of them, but some of them. And then there are some that might be translated differently from dance to a more religious component, or vice versa, or meditative, etc. So
most of the time when people are using the movements, are they sitting in a loading position? Are they sitting on a chair or?
again, completely wherever you're most comfortable. You can be standing, you can be walking if needed. Obviously, traditionally, right? Like if you need it, absolutely, right? Like it is available to you, as a tool. If you were using it traditionally and you were going to be, say, that particular one, right, is working with the earth element. And so let's say you were working with that and you wanted to like spend time with that. So you would, maybe 3 times a day, 2 to 5 minutes, you would sit in whatever way is comfortable. Maybe that's on the floor in this yogic position and lotus, or maybe it's in a chair. You would spend time just holding that, relaxing into it, breathing, and that would be your mudra practice for that. And then yes. Yeah, and so that one is also, that's the single-handed version of the samana one, and again is a different language verse of it, but is being able to focus all that energy, because it's about healing whatever that is and directing the energy towards that.
Well, in Arabic, we're like, slow down. Slow down.
So yeah, I mean, I think energetically that feels like that makes sense too, because it's also about like digestion and works with that, which is about like slowing down so your body has the time to process it, as opposed to waiting because you're in. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Thank you for sharing that. That's very cool.
I was not
Okay. Goddess rising. Yeah, how did that one feel? Yeah.
Easy.
It is Goddess rising. So it's actually about Goddess rising. So it's about strength. And I mean, if shield energy, can be, but. Yeah. You're like, yeah.
Yeah. I got, it's like this, these two fingers here, and it's a klatsha.
Uh-huh. So that's the one for ether and the akasha, and so that's if you're feeling really spacey, it's a great one for you.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also about limitless possibilities, this says. So there's that.
I like my space, because it's all spiritually connected.
Mhm.
So the one Jim had, is it one hand?
Yes. Yeah, so a lot of times there's a single hand or a double hand, and it can change the meaning slightly or a lot based on if it is with both hands or one.
So if we just one hand on the card, we should just do it. Does it matter right or left?
Typically, they would say right, but also whichever one is most dominant to you, because.
Which
But
one is less wounded?
right, right.
I got the Nirvana mudra, so I guess some piece of rock and roll.
Obviously, yes.
Also, because ours, I think it's so cool that it has like a little light beam where there's a contact. It helps me because there's also part of this one that my wrist is contact, so it looks like like this. And then the card has all the chakras on it, right?
Yeah. I was really excited to purchase this, so I'm glad you caught that.
Also, like, I thought I did the artist question. In the mudra class, it's interesting because they were also planning to do just like the most gentle touch, and so I'm curious. Like, I don't have all the mudra points memorized yet, but it makes me really curious for these, if it's probably also maybe activating a mudra.
Right. Yeah, and so that's the balance of it and the intention behind it, right? So like the pressure, the intensity, which hands you, right? Like if you're using one hand, two hand can kind of change the intention of it, right? So yeah.
Well, yeah.
Awesome.
The mind's pretty. It's these like this, thing. It's this,
Mm-hmm.
yes, that's it,
Yeah.
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 Remind me of the 7 chakras, so chakra flow from top to bottom. What I got from.
I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Got an hourglass there.
had an hourglass behind it, time's running out.
Then you just turn it over.
And then you got more time.
That's not my hourglass.
So I need to spell the name for you, and you know.
If you can
K-A-L-S-E-A-R-A.
Okay, Kalispata. Okay. Breaking old patterns is what that one is. The intention behind it, or one of the intentions.
From the hourglass upside down.
There we go.
It's in class.
I didn't even already. I got the mudra. Basically, that's
Holding your hands together and in meditation, I can see the two complementary and equal energies intertwining in an infinite circle, and it's very harmony. It's like, like energy.
I love that. And it's one of the interpretations is a new dawn. So I don't know if that feels good. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you all for playing with my part. And then, I have this, and then this particular book I also really like. If you're interested in learning more about mudra, it has really good pictures, and I really appreciated the author. There was a couple of typos, even on like the main it's like right here. It says SECTRET instead of secret, and it's like made. And they were like, you know what? We left it on there, and it's okay. Not everything is perfect, and like they really made like a cool little thing. So, anyways, I highly recommend if you know supporting them because I just think that was a really cool, authentic way to show up too.
On Amazon.
You can get it on Amazon. You can also get it, I believe, directly from like her website, and things like that as well. Her name is Indu Aurora,
INDU.
INDU, and Aurora is ARORA. Mhm. And it's really great. It also walks you through like a lot of the different things and tells you, walks you through some of the different channels and things like that, that it talks about different ways to use it, different kind of more moving mudras and things like that. So it's a very good resource as well. So yeah. Yes.
It's like yoga sadhana, is that right?
I'm sorry?
Is yoga sadhana, is that her website?
Probably. Mhm.
And then I'll get my little card for her.
They were wonderful. Jessy, thank you so much. Yeah, it's okay, right. So, Jessy's and he just opened up so much, or I know for me personally, about use of the mudras and ways to go deeper, but just I'm not really made to do lots of yoga forms of yoga, just physical limitations, but the mudras for me open up an entirely new world of ways to move energy. And that's a real gift to me, so I'm very grateful that you took the time to come there. And I will send out contact information for Jessy, and she's also co-founder of Therapeutics, and you know, the whole cadre of wonderful therapists working. I do. And Jessy C Yoga.
What's the name of your podcast?
The podcast is called Tarot Together. And it is on pretty much everything, I believe. So, I think we finally got it on everything.
And you do website.
And I have a website that theoretically has everything I do in one place, but don't like quote that, but close enough.
And she does tarot with Naomi
Yes,
on the, and the next one is July 20th
correct, yes.
at from 2 to 3 for our healthcare professionals and healers. And then from 3 to 4 open to the general public. And it is at the Lavender Lounge, which is on United.
And then we also have a virtual, and we'll send out the address as well beforehand. And there is a sign up form that is through that. If you are connected, reach out to me if you can't find it, and I'm happy to get that to you. But there's also a virtual option for that if coming in person isn't. And it's really great. Naomi has been the one so far creating these really great spreads, and we walk through them all together and different ways of using them. Cards as well, similar to how we did today. So it's been really great. And we have an event on Saturday for the fire element from 6 to 9, and there's still spots open.
Last time the Facebook there were 5 spots left, so there's 20 spots. It's going to have a crown ceremony, yoga mudra, that's on the version. Sound healing, drum, and fire. Of course,
Yeah, very simple.
the location is a secret, and it's shared with everyone who registered the same book. But it will be at a Lynchburg address. This one's on private.
Okay, so would they sign up?
The link was on, I think either of our link trees or your probably on your new website too.
It is.
Yeah.
When is that again?
Saturday.
Saturday for St. Dave's summer solstice.
That's a you basically.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, yes, in the evening.
Well, there's a cool thing happening in Buckingham, about an hour away at the library. It's called Beyond Belief. Shay Willis is doing it, and she's like, it's about supernatural experience in Buckingham County. Her experiences and others. Be pretty interesting. It's at 3:00.
If I can quickly make a few announcements, number one, if you can, on the Facebook page, we started doing events for these. If you can just respond to those, so it helps it spread, so more people can find us. Also, in a couple weekends, Naomi's actually gonna be holding a fundraising event at Grounded Earth. It's gonna go towards Daily Bread and a couple other organizations. Lynchburg Humane Society, we're doing a pet food drive as well, so we come out to that. It'll be the Friday through Sunday, it's the 23rd, 22nd on that weekend.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that this week?
This week, that's this.
Next.
Next week.
Because the
Next.
agenda is the 20th.
Yeah.
This weekend
Next
is
week is the 25th. So we're
Monday the 23rd.
I'll put it on the Facebook page.
See,
You can go to my tarot page, and I've already got on there. Naomi also has on her Facebook site.
which Facebook page?
Whiteside Tarot. And we had,
Okay.
there's a center for
No.
Soul Center.
Soul Center Healing. And
You have access to the calendar, right? To the calendar.
I'm biased.
Okay, I'm gonna read the bell.
Can I do an announcement real quick? Sure. Stockfoot is, guesting Greg Bird's, sound bowls. He was here last week and it was a full house. It's gonna be here July, August and September. It's Stockfoot. You still on our webpage. We need it right now. And a lot of people doing that. You know,
Oh, she's actually not.
Okay, ringing the bell. Bell, right? Yeah.
Folks in the back are longer. You can borrow a book if you want to, and the URL cards, take as many as you want.
Yeah. This one here. This one here.